Welcome to our partner sponsors, distinguished guests, the media, our SU global community, and our online audiences from around the world. Thank you for joining us from your homes. We are grateful and appreciate that you've all made the time to be here with us today. Today, South Africa is breaking new ground with this virtual reality media launch, taking place in virtual outer space, looking back at Earth. Welcome to the SUSA Summit Online VR Media Launch, hosted by SingularityU South Africa and in collaboration with the Development Bank of Southern Africa, our global partner Deloitte, and our strategic partner MTN. Almost the same time last year, we held a similar event that started in real life at WeWork Rosebank. And then halfway through, we traveled to a virtual world where colleagues from around the world joined us. This year, we are in full virtual reality and will be doing the opposite, bringing in some reality to create a more realistic feel in VR and to upload our guests into the metaverse. It's really fascinating to experience firsthand how quickly this technology is developing, and soon will be completely normal for us to engage in a more meaningful and immersive way. Our goal for this event is to share with you all the themes and topics and some of the lineup and platform features for the upcoming summit on the 14th and 15th of October, as well as our vision of how virtual events will take place. Today you will hear from our partners and fantastic thought leaders who will be speaking at the online summit and have the opportunity to ask any questions. This pace of change leads me to our mission at SingularityU South Africa, to help educate, empower and inspire leaders and future leaders to apply exponential technologies to help solve some of the world's grand challenges. We want to create an exponential Africa that leads the way in the future. Our team at ManMade has worked tirelessly to develop this virtual experience, and the entire summit. This pandemic has caused a massive rift in connections and meeting new people. It's essential to come together to learn, network, and share ideas on how we can make the future better for all. There is power in connection, and the ability to meet new people has been missing. Uncommon meetups and conversations aren't currently happening in this new world. So what we've done is we've made a big focus on networking to ensure that connections are still being made in Africa. You'll hear more about this later, but for now, know that by taking our summit online, it's given us the opportunity to break the confines of physical space and expand our themes, topics, and speakers. As you may have seen in the various expo planets you've been exploring. Hope everyone got all the questions right and built their robots. We have 4 main themes: exponential technologies, leadership and entrepreneurship, global grand challenges, and digital marketing. Also, we are putting a special focus on how we can help the SME, as they are the backbone of our African economy. You'll hear more about this later. This virtual reality media launch is a one-of-a-kind on the continent. It will take place as follows. We're going to hear from our SingularityU South Africa Summit partners. Then we will hear from Shane, who will announce some of the format and features, as well as some of the speakers that will attend the online summit. Nastasia has a special surprise, which I'm not going to mention now. We will then hear from some of the keynote speakers who will be attending the summit, and there will be time for Q&A from the media. Let's begin with our SingularityU South Africa Summit partners. We appreciate and respect their vision and commitment to help shape the future of Africa. Let's hear from our collaboration partner, the Development Bank of Southern Africa, who really believes in driving Africa's prosperity and making a positive impact. Welcome Carrie Jooste, Head of Innovation and Culture at the Development Bank of Southern Africa.
Thanks, Mick, for the introduction, and it's really good to be back with you guys this year. So the DBSA is the Development Bank of Southern Africa, and we're a development finance institution with our core sectors being water, ICT, energy and transport, with secondary sectors, health and education. So for us, development is always at the core of what we do. And we're always looking for development impact, which catalyzes change. So with that in mind, with having the whole bank as a sanctuary for development practitioners, innovation, we feel, is the core that allows us to continue to catalyze and unlock the change and development. So naturally, the partnership with Singularity, we sought to expose the staff as much as possible as a whole to continue to unlock their creativity and apply it to the projects, as well as to provide the platform and access for as many people as possible to be exposed to the speakers and the thought leaders. This has allowed us to catalyze a lot of innovation projects, and we have our own moonshot projects, which also seek to be platforms to create these opportunities which ultimately stimulate economic development and the creation of jobs. And I think it's really important that we continue to foster this on the continent and especially in our country, as I think we always take the stance that all the solutions are here, and it's mostly about creating the opportunities for the people who have them to rise to the fore, so that we can solve our own problems, whether it be in the country or the continent. And that's really the stance we've taken and continue to take from an innovation perspective, as I mentioned, with creating the platforms, whether it be through our DBSA Youth Challenge, through the Development Lab precincts, or through a collaboration that is busy being constructed around the infrastructure platform. Thanks, Mick.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Next, we will hear from our global partner, Deloitte, Walter Adeo, who is the Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at Deloitte. Deloitte has also been on this journey with us for the last 4 years as SingularityU South Africa Global Partners.
Hi, Mick. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be back here with you, talking about the preparations for the Singularity Summit later on this year. It feels like we've just wrapped up the previous one, and it's amazing how time has flown by. It also made me think about the relationship that we've had with Singularity University, which spans a decade and a half at a global level. And you know, we've been involved with Singularity University in South Africa from its onset of activities in the region. So we're very excited to remain involved and continue this conversation. It's an important conversation for us. You know, right at the get-go, around conversations around exponential technology, before it became pop media, we recognized that in order for businesses to keep on growing and thriving and remaining resilient in this ever-changing economy, they needed to move beyond just thinking that to be successful at growth, you need to have good leadership principles in place, commercialize well, and then market business as well effectively. Leadership in this current construct has become a little bit more complicated. We need to remain informed and up to date around the changes that are taking place relating to exponential technologies, but we also have to change our leadership mindset to be very open to trying new things, to experiment and to explore. And I think the summit brings those two intersects together. We get exposed to these amazing technologies that are really challenging everything around us, from physical space to how we leverage information and data, to how we build business models, etc. And at the same time, we're also exposed to the human side of it. What kind of leadership do we need to demonstrate to thrive in this environment? How do we think about the people? How do we think about the communities around us, etc.? How do we think about sustainability? So I'm really excited about what's coming up at this year's summit. Ironically, in previous summits, we've tried to take the physical space and make it virtual. And this year, you've pivoted the summit to go, starting off at a virtual point and trying to give it as much of a physical feel as possible. And it certainly highlights the change and challenge that businesses are undergoing at the moment. where it's critically important that when we reflect on what's happened over the last 6 months, and add to that tough economic conditions, is that this environment has done as sort of placed an X-ray on our business. And it's shown to us where our weaknesses are, where our negative attributes are, etc. And it's giving us an opportunity to focus on them and to start taking corrective measures to make our businesses strong and resilient for this digital economy. What it's also done, it's put a spotlight on the leadership mindset. And just think about how many emotive situations we've faced in the past where we were trying something new as an organization or as an individual, and the leadership of that organization resisted it, right? Now that we've been in crisis, those resistant points have lost their value. They've disappeared because we've had to progress in order to get beyond the challenges that we have. Just think of, the taboo of missing or attending a very important leadership meeting remotely, or trying to sell a product remotely, or trying to deliver a project to a client remotely. That would have been seen as less than optimal just a few months ago, and now it's considered the new norm. And so at the summit, we get exposed to a lot of new things and new ways of thinking about things that perhaps make us uncomfortable, but it's a hint as to what the future holds for us. And so that constant challenging of the leadership mindset is of tremendous value for us and for the participants at the summit this year. And so I'm quite excited to be involved in those conversations. I'm certainly very excited about having a viewpoint around the future of leadership and the future of how we engage with the market and our clients and our people, etc., to make sure that we're as strong and as resilient as possible in this digital economy, so that we can move beyond trying to survive into a world of thriving. So, Mick, I'm looking tremendously forward to the summit in 2020.
Thanks so much, Walter. Our next strategic partner is MTN. MTN is Africa's largest network, and I'm also proud to say has been on this journey with us over the last 4 years. Please can we welcome Anu Singh, who is Executive Business Intelligence at MTN.
Thank you, Mick. It's a pleasure to be here again. Being a Pan-African operator with a presence in 21 markets across Africa and the Middle East, MTN recognizes its role in helping to address Africa's challenges through the use of technology. MTN has a clear vision to lead the delivery of a bold new digital Africa. We believe that everyone deserves the benefits of a modern, connected life. MTN is embracing the potential of disruptive digital solutions and their role in accelerating the realization of the many United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As such, MTN considers it's important to understand the rapidly evolving role that technology has on society. Our goals are similar to those of the Singularity University, which plays a pivotal role in the global efforts to bridge the digital divide and foster an inclusive digital economy. The partnership with Singularity University South Africa affords us the opportunity to keep abreast of these developments and affords us the opportunity to future-proof our business and our communities. It was Bob Dylan that once said, "He that is not busy being born is busy dying." MTN is helping to shape the future by exposing future leaders to the potential of exponential technologies. For example, MTN recently launched Ayoba, a free-to-use messaging app, a first for Africa. The COVID pandemic, which is one of the biggest tragedies of our lifetime, has demonstrated how technology can support society. Telecommunications companies around the world rallied and used core capabilities to support and help their communities. Some examples of what we as MTN did was zero rating, lines for reporting infections and other critical information. There are also 2 zero-rated Ayoba COVID-19 channels that are live and are sharing updated news and information. The mobile money app allows for free peer-to-peer cash payments under a certain quantum. We developed heat maps for certain governments to identify areas where the most socially and economically vulnerable live. In Ghana, for example, MTN Momo customers can now send money transfers up to a certain quantum daily to Momo wallets and other networks for free. The company zero-rated several education websites and access to health services websites where people could find information about the virus free of charge. We are looking forward to another exciting and enlightening summit and learning about how to live more consciously. On behalf of MTN, I hope you enjoy the next few days. Keep safe, wear a mask, wear it for me.
Thanks for that, Anu. Let me welcome Shane Mann, co-CEO of SingularityU South Africa and ManMade, to tell us more about the platform for this year's online summit and some of the amazing features with a special focus on the networking.
Good afternoon. We are thrilled to be here today to be able to share with you some of the plans for the upcoming SUSA Summit Online 2020. The pandemic has been an extremely challenging time for the entire world, and the recovery is not going to be easy. However, it has accelerated our transformation and migration into digital virtual worlds exponentially. I've been so appreciative of all the incredible creativity we've seen during this period from people all over the world. Every day we hear about a new platform or communication or digital tool. Human ingenuity, love and drive are rebuilding our world, and it's the people who step into the arena with courage that make the difference. Let me take a moment to take you through what we have planned for the upcoming summit. We're going to have a seamless navigation that allows you to easily move into one of the 3 stages that we will be running concurrently: the Africa Arena stage, the amphitheater, and the highlight sessions. For the first time, we're going to be highlighting some of the fantastic talks from previous years that people have not had access to. The SUSA Summit Online will have live workshops, an interactive expo area to facilitate new business, and a fantastic networking area where you'll be able to be matched with a fellow attendee and chat together for 3 minutes. I've tried this many times. Trust me, it's a fun way of meeting new friends and staying connected. We also have a feature that directly lets you have a video call in private with other attendees. Our main topics for this year are going to be exponential technologies, global grand challenges, leadership and entrepreneurship, and digital marketing. We have expanded our themes for 2 main reasons. The first, the pandemic has highlighted the need for more dialogue around leadership, entrepreneurship, SMEs, and digital marketing. And the second, we are not limited to the physical space as in previous years. By moving online, it also means that several new speakers who could not make the long-haul flight to Africa can now participate. We have just launched another 30 speakers onto our website, so please do go take a look. What is also exciting is that tickets are selling all over the world, and people will be joining in from multiple territories this year, especially Africa. Thanks so much. To tell you one more thing, let me hand over to Nastasia Aronsa, radio and TV journalist and one of the MC hosts for this year's summit. Nastasia?
Hi everybody, it's great to be seeing you all today in this virtual space. As Shane mentioned, there's one more thing we'd like to announce. To make sure we maximize the networking and connections, we'll be giving you virtual reality after drinks on the 14th and 15th of October and the custom-built Singularity South Africa Summit Savannah Virtual Reality Bush Experience. Guests will be able to pick one of the big five as their avatars and explore the bush from game drives to rhino conservation activities in South Africa to listening to great artists perform around the Boma. This is going to be a special 2 hours each evening, so make sure you're attending the summit to explore the Singularity South Africa Summit Savannah on the evenings of the 14th and 15th of October. That's it for me. Looking forward to catching up with you at the summit. Back to you, Mick.
Thanks so much for that, Shane and Nastasia. We are genuinely excited for the format and programming this year. Now let me welcome our keynote speaker, David Roberts.
Hey, greetings, South Africa. Nice to see you all again. I hope you are safe and well. A lot has changed since last time we spoke. A lot has changed even with this virtual reality room, which was the last time I think I got to speak with you. And that was only maybe a couple months ago. So it's nice to be here again. I am very excited about our upcoming global summit going on in South Africa. The dates are picked out and known, and we're looking at the 13th to the 16th of October in 2020 with many of our usual sponsors, DBSA, MTM, Deloitte. And what I'm hoping to talk to you about this time, because I'm in Athens today, and I'm just looking up in the distance, you can see the Acropolis, and it reminds me of the time of gladiators. And the amazing thing about gladiators was that they understood the game that they were playing. They knew that it was risk, and it was a game where the more they played it, the more likely they were to lose, and yet they still did it. And my talk will be really about the 5 lessons that I learned from studying gladiators. The first being you got to think. I know gladiators are known for their brute force and their strength and their skills, but the truth is that the winning gladiators, they fought, and they fought better than the other gladiators, and it allowed them to win. They had strategies, they had tactics, and we'll talk about strategies and tactics. In fact, the one thing I really want to cover, as you may have heard, Clay Christensen, the man who came up with the theory of disruptive innovation. In fact, that phrase, disruptive innovation, is attributable to one man, Clay Christensen, a Harvard Business School professor, a really extraordinary human being. He passed away earlier this year. But one of the things that he spoke about was disruptive strategy, about why deliberate strategy in a company, why sometimes that just doesn't work, especially when you start thinking about disruption. And we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how that relates to emerging opportunities and how these two things in a company can be understood in such a way that it allows you to create plans and be opportunistic so that your business can not just obviously survive, but thrive. Think. The pinky finger, that's what I'm thinking about. The ring finger is about compassion. And we're going to talk about compassion for your customers and how having fanatically crazy customers is the ultimate competitive advantage. And loving your customers and not necessarily loving your products is a success factor that is not easily understood. But it's also compassion for your employees and understanding that your employees can be even more valuable than your customers. And being able to use compassion to express and do the right thing for your environment, for your other stakeholders, and for the world, and how doing the right thing turns you into an extraordinary leader. The third thing we'll talk about is attitude. Attitude and courage. The courage, not just to do the right thing, but the courage to speak up and the courage to get employees to tell you what's wrong, because until the unsaid has been said, as Keith Cunningham once said, nothing can improve. And so courage ends up being not just the key and what gladiators are really known for, but it's a critical success factor in leaders, especially in challenging environments like the one that we're in. Fourth thing we'll talk about is ownership. Extreme ownership and exponential leadership, but ownership without blame. You know, this pointing one finger is three fingers back at you. We'll talk about ownership in a new way so that we can understand how we can get people in our company to think like owners, and more importantly, how to get you to think like an owner rather than as an operator. Owners think about risk. Operators think about execution. You need them both, but I find most managers only are thinking about execution. And then when risk comes in, as we've learned this year with COVID, they're not, or they're at least they're ill prepared for it. And then the fifth and last thing we'll talk about is resilience. Being able to come back. This is the ultimate skill. It doesn't matter how many times you're knocked down. It only matters that you keep getting back up. And we'll talk about the keys to resilience and human performance, which will lead me into a topic that I'm probably most excited about, which is this new JEDI with a G training program that we're creating to focus on how to train leaders, not just to succeed at their business, but to succeed at life. Our educational system ill prepares us, I think, for succeeding at life. We learn math, we learn verbal skills, but we don't learn how to just succeed at ordinary life. And it's an unbelievably simple thing, it's just we don't get it right. And if we can just focus on health and wealth and relationships and fulfillment, inside of those are leadership and keeping wealth, not just creating it, and appreciating wealth, and we'll get to the things that actually matter. And so it's going to be a great conference. I'm thoroughly excited about the virtual nature of it, which is clearly the future. And I'm excited to be with you again and share this time with you and hopefully share some thoughts that will help you in your business and your life. As always, my blessings and thanks to South Africa and to all of the leaders that work with us to change and improve the country, the continent, and the world. See you soon.
Thanks so much, David, and thank you to all of you for attending today. We're now going to take some questions for any of the speakers that you have seen. So if any of the media have any questions, or if there are any questions on YouTube, you can shoot those through to us, and we will ask any of the panelists to answer them. And anyone in any of the rooms, you can ask a question. Arthur or Ryan, I can see you in our room if you wanted to know anything.
Nothing from my side, thank you.
Okay, Raja, anything from you? Ryan? Ryan, look, last year the topic of adaptive intelligence was mentioned as a great deal. Where do you see adaptive intelligence playing now in the light of the pandemic? So it's a huge. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? It's a huge topic this year, Ryan. So we are going to be focusing on it in quite a number of ways, especially of how can we help the SME
in terms of adaptive intelligence. And that is why we have extended the topics into wider fields, and we'll be having different speakers coming to focus on how to be more adaptive, how to work better remotely, how to work in a team from home, as well as how to actually go into business rescue if you're an SME. So we are really focusing on how to be agile and adaptive this year. I'm just going to be refreshing here. Hi everybody, I'm back in the room. Sorry about that, I just had to refresh my sound. Great. So are there any other questions from anybody? So here we have a question for Walter. If you want to come answer it, Walter, if you can come stand by me over here on the stage. Ryan Noik is asking, what constitutes the new normal?
So thanks a lot, Mick, and thanks for that question. It's certainly, over the last couple of weeks and months, we're using phrases like unprecedented and new normal more and more. And I don't think it's an extreme of anything. I think it's the blending of what we had before, together with new ways of thinking, new ways of engaging with the customer, new ways of engaging with our staff engaging with our organization, and you know, the development of new business models that allows for additional resilience. But I also think it speaks to also changes in terms of how we think about our businesses. So, you know, the new normal, you know, using that phrase, could include things like embracing an ecosystem mindset, where we open up our organizations to work with entrepreneurs or to work with expertise. So we move away from the need to have the expert into our organization and rather create an environment where we have a platform where we can engage with expertise to solve a specific problem at a point in time. New ways of working would also include, you know, taking learning, lifelong learning, very serious, in the sense that our knowledge is decaying at such a phenomenal rate at the moment. And while we've been talking about it, we've certainly understood the importance of being on the, you know, to remain relevant and to remain up to date with new ways of doing things. So embracing learning is also going to be perhaps a new normal. So I think there's many dimensions to this conversation. I could go on, you know, listing examples of things that are certainly going to change. And I'm probably going to throw it back and say, perhaps it's not a new normal. It's a normal that we've been talking about for a very long time, but we've just been slow to move towards. And now, in terms of the challenges that we've had, both from an economic perspective or a pandemic or competitive landscape, we've had to embrace it. So we've put the debates aside, and we've become far more curious and exploratory to try and understand new ways of doing things. I hope that provides a decent enough answer.
Thanks, Walter. That was great. Thank you so much for that. We also have Anu Singh here. Anu, do you want to answer that question? Ronnie, if you turn exactly behind you, Anu is right behind you there. Anu, over to you.
Sure, thanks, Mick. It's difficult to fly, as one can imagine, so I'm going to stand back here and respond from here, if nobody minds. You know, as Walter said, you know, we've been talking about the new normal and a paradigm shift, etc., over the last couple of months. And I think it is the new normal. But that being said, I think that, you know, we shouldn't really be surprised, because this is really a lot of what we've been talking about at Singularity. You know, about the work from home more and more people will be opting to travel less. We'd be looking at lower occupation of buildings. And quite frankly, I see a lot of people living a lot more consciously. So if anything, digitization has been fast forwarded. We've probably got here a lot quicker than we envisaged when we probably sat down around these tables a year ago this time. So I think it's exciting times. But that being said, I think the human psyche should not be ignored. And, some people may be challenged by this. It's a bit too much too quickly for some. But I see that, there's a lot positive that can actually come of this. Mick, thank you.
Anu, thanks so much for that. And we can take a few more questions. We do have time for a few more questions. Kathy, do you have a question?
No, I don't. I'm good. I'm good, thanks.
So we are just waiting to see if there are any questions from YouTube or if there are any questions from some of the other rooms. They'll be passed through to us in this room. What's really exciting for us about this virtual reality space is that, just a short year ago, as I said, we did this, started off in reality, and then we went into virtual reality. This time we've gone full virtual reality, and it's quite amazing that, and we are really grateful and appreciate that, over 60 media have jumped into different rooms to join us here today. So from the comfort of your home, you've got to experience this 3D virtual space. It still is a unique organic environment, but it's developing so fast. And last year we joked that we were going to do this in full virtual reality this year. And then when COVID came, that was the main objective, and it sort of sped up our trajectory to build these virtual worlds. So I hope that everyone's had a great time, and at the moment it looks like there are no further questions. If anyone has any other questions, please shoot them through to us. We'll give another 30 seconds or so to see if we get a question. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, let me ask Anu, let me ask you another question. Just around diversity in the workplace. What are you seeing post the COVID world? How has that changed in terms of gender equality in the workplace?
Mick, it's difficult to ascertain whether things have changed. Without actually seeing people in person, it's often, it's not that easy to determine, attitudes and, the softer nuances. However, what I have observed, I must say, certainly in the last year, is that there's a lot more talk in South Africa about diversity in the workplace. I think companies are becoming a bit more aware of it. That being said, it doesn't necessarily mean we're any closer to reaching, equality within the workplace. That's for sure. We see lots of legislation and the like, but, are companies really ready for diversity in the workplace? Are we still have the same paradigms within the companies? But perhaps also, digitization and working virtually means that, diversity could be embraced. You don't have the difference in physical presence and persona that one would have in your traditional one-on-one meetings or, in-person meetings. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Anu. So we've got a couple of other questions going, and one of them is from, the first question is from Jenny, who's asking, will Jaya Baloo be returning this year? And to answer that question, Jenny, yes, she will be. Jaya Baloo will be talking about the Hacker Fest that's been going on and the new viruses that are now online. And really how it's we've migrated from safety in the real world to safety online, and there's been a huge rampant increase of viruses and DDoS attacks happening. So that's to answer Jenny's question. We have another question from Tabiso Malloy, who's asking, what role do you see tech playing, especially with everything that's gone on from this point into the future? And let's start with Anu, and then we can move to Walter for this answer. So Tabisa Malloy was asking, what role do you see tech playing, especially with everything that's going on from this point and on in the future?
That's an interesting one, and I think an exciting one, because if anything, tech's playing a massive role. I mean, if you look at the very fact that one can work virtually, and look at how we've launched this today, Mick. You know, we're all sitting, you know, in different parts of the world, but we're all communicating, and we've got a virtual platform. And, you know, and I see that, you know, we're going to look more towards things like artificial intelligence and machine learning, and certainly Internet of Things is going to become massive, you know, as we all try to manage even our homes remotely. And, you know, I think that for tech, the beginning is only just here. Thanks.
Thanks so much for that. Walter, do you also want to answer that question?
Sure, I'll build on to that. I think tech is the underlying foundation that makes all of this possible. It allows us to essentially make the unconceivable or the inconceivable or unreasonable value proposition to our customers, to our staff, to the economy, possible, sustainable, and affordable through technology. So tech is certainly underlying, but at the same time, there's a bit of a paradox. If it was just about technology, then the richest and the oldest companies in our economies would be the most digitally advanced. And that's not always the case. So while tech is certainly the enabler to allow companies to modernize and to thrive in this digital economy, it needs to be led with a business imperative. You know, why are we doing it? And it has to be enabled through leadership and organizational behaviors. So it's difficult to separate the various components. I think we've got to make sure that it's woven, interwoven like a tapestry to make the end state a successful one. But I just want to emphasize the point that the change has got to be led by, you know, by leadership behaviors and organizational behaviors that define that unreasonable value proposition that we want to give to our customers, that Dave referred to, you know, loving our customers so much that we want to present the best possible value proposition to them. And then we make it possible, affordable, and sustainable with technology. And that's where it's exciting, because the technology is becoming, you know, so much more powerful. It's becoming so much more affordable, and it's also becoming in reach of you know, people that typically didn't have the means. So it's no longer just in the hands of large corporates and large universities. You know, teenagers, kids at school, kids at university can get access to a phenomenally powerful technology to create amazing things, to fulfill a phenomenal value proposition to the market.
Thanks so much for that, Walter. I think, you know, for us too, it's just this time during the pandemic, it's been one of the most actually inspiring times in terms of human creativity, because every day we've seen something new come out, or even if we thought innovation was on the rise, you know, with this pandemic, we've seen a real embracing of the technology, like virtual worlds or these communication platforms that we're seeing come out every day. We've got another question that we're going to take. Our next question is from Gabby Zeitzman. Gabby's asking, how much will COVID-19 form part of the conversation at the conference? So, Gabby, COVID-19 will obviously form quite a large part of the discussion of the conference, because it has been such an influential part of all of our lives over the last couple of months. We're not going to harp on COVID-19, but we're looking for rather, how do we move on and recover and reset and upgrade ourselves to come up with new solutions and new ways to, you know, create an abundant future for all of us. So I think I've answered that question. Are there any other questions? We are running out of time, so maybe we'll take one more if there's anyone else. I think Robin had a question I heard from somewhere. No. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we are going to be wrapping up. Thank you all for your time. We really appreciate that you made it here today. I hope you all had a great experience and got a glimpse of what future events could be like. We are looking forward to seeing you all at the SingularityU South Africa Summit Online 2020 from the 13th to the 16th of October. But you'll have access to the platform just to really make sure there's time for networking and to look at all the different exhibitions, as well as on the 14th and on the 15th of October, we're going to be launching quite a unique format, over 80 speakers, over 60 sessions, with multiple workshops ranging from business COVID rescue to building your next IoT to getting off the grid with Adriana Marais. We have a huge amount of workshops and ways to help you really reset and regrow for the future, for 2020 and beyond. So thanks to everyone, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you at the summit. Cheers, everybody. Signing out.